What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode for Spice and Wolf. This is episode 8, and with me, as always, I have Bluespade.
Yep. It was another decent episode. But more or less as a person who's already watched the original anime series, um, I pretty much knew that that both Lawrence and Holo were gonna end up meeting up with Nora eventually.
Yeah,
Of course, like if people don't know, that Nora's of course the shepherd who works with the church, and of course this of course Holo, even in the last episode, doesn't take a liking to her because she's a shepherd. So yeah, she doesn't make any Holo doesn't make any attempt to interact with Nora. So Lawrence decides to take it upon himself to talk to her. So Nora, of course, like with her position of being a shepherd, asks Lawrence if he would hire her as an escort to protect both of them from wolves. Even though that's, I mean, I don't think it'd be necessary for even have her around just due to the fact that Holo
yeah,
was with
that's what I
Lawrence.
was thinking too. I was like, well, he already has Holo, which I don't think he has to really worry about wolves being a threat. Um,
Yeah, but of course, Lawrence being the person that he is, decides to take it upon himself to help Nora out in a way by have pretty much hiring her, to escort them to the next town, for Lawrence to sell the armor that he received in the last episode. Of course, this gets into uh with another conversation between Lawrence and Holo talking about Nora, with with Holo, of course, explaining her reasons why she's not taking a liking to Nora in the first place, and of course, teasing the fact that she'll end up eating one of her lambs, in the middle of the in the middle of the night. But of course, like she doesn't do so. So eventually, the Lawrence, Holo, and Nora eventually head towards the next town over, in which arriving, Lawrence and Holo part ways with Nora, so they can end up selling the armor in his cart. But of course, like they run. It seems like it looks like they Lawrence could have come across some problems based on who he was selling it to, until like we find out that someone is obviously looking for them after they've made the transaction.
yeah, um, yeah. Of course, like you said, yeah. Most of the episode is just them. They travel a little bit with Nora until they reach this town, and it's of course like Holo sort of teasing Lawrence, and seemingly like being kind of, I guess you'd say sort of jealous of Nora or something. She doesn't want them to have another traveling companion. Uh, and yeah, we don't really get too much of Nora in this episode, unfortunately. Like, she parts ways with them, but I do think she's, of course, also just based on, having seen the original series, I think she's going to rejoin them pretty soon. Um, and it looks like she's going to play some kind of a role in the in the next episode, um considering that it looks like the church, or at least one of the priests, like when she goes to the church, is that just based on like the kind of look he gave her. I'm wondering if uh he's up to something nefarious or something like that, having to do with her. Um but
Mhm.
yeah, and of course, like you said, yeah, some people are after Lawrence. They were asking around about Lawrence, and when Lawrence gets to the trading company, uh, he meets up with this guy who is, I guess, he knew Lawrence from in the past, and yeah, they're probably gonna, Lawrence is probably gonna be on the run again from whoever's after him, and maybe Nora will be involved to some extent, but
Yeah, I mean, both Lawrence and Holo acknowledged that they need to keep Holo's real identity a secret at this point
yeah.
because
Well, that's going to
because
be kind of
you
hard
know
to
how
do
like how
too, considering what happened in some of the the past few episodes. Of course, there are people now that there are some people now that know about Holo's true form, um, and
yeah, and of course that the fact that that Lawrence wanted Holo to spare Yari's life. I mean,
yeah,
Yari's still alive, so I mean, he's not gonna, even though like he's cheated death, against Holo. Like it doesn't mean that he's gonna stop looking for her.
Yeah. Um yeah, but this wasn't there wasn't really too much that happened in the episode. A lot of it was just the uh just sort of interactions with Nora and kind of setting things up, I guess, for the next episode or some of the I guess the next few episodes for these people who are after Lawrence and whatever's going to be happening with Nora and how she's going to factor into the plot. Um
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's still another it's still another benefit due to the fact that Chloe's not the one of the actual main characters.
Yeah.
Um, like I've mentioned this several times in our last reviews. Is with Chloe replacing Yare, Chloe of course almost become at that point of the story becoming like almost like another um I guess like another third wheel to the relationship between Lawrence and Holo. But now with her gone, it's just Nora being that third wheel instead, which I think it makes it a little bit better
Mm,
in that regards, just due to the fact that Chloe's not a factor in butting into the relationship with with Lauren with Holo and Lawrence.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was still a pretty decent episode. Uh, just a slightly, I guess, slower episode considering there wasn't really too much that happened. It was mostly just set up. Um, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about it though. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, it was still a decent episode. I mean, but like I said, it's just where for someone who's watched the original series extensively, from back, yeah, of course, watching the first two seasons, I pretty much knew that this was gonna end up happening with Lawrence and Holo interacting with Nora.
Hmm.
It's just I'm still waiting for the point by the end of this first core that they'll get into the second half in which hopefully they'll get into some beats of the storyline which will be more faithful to the original light novels.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm expecting that to probably happen around. I mean, yeah, like you said, like the second half, yeah, more specifically, because the original anime was, I think it was just like 12 to 13 episodes, right, for each season. Because I think the first season was, I think about that long, and then season two was that long.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think we're probably getting to the point where technically at the end of season one of the original series, I think. So I guess once it gets into this content that was supposed to be adapted in season two of the original series, is probably when it's going to
Yeah.
go in a different direction. Considering, and I mean, I can't say because I haven't read the original light novels, but people said that a lot of the content I think in season two was filler content. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what happens once we get to that point. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's more it's yeah, the first core for this version of Spice and Wolf anyway is mainly just going to be somewhat of a retread from the first 12 episodes from the original anime from 10 years ago.
yeah,
So it's like I'm not really expecting too many changes other than like the whole Chloe replacing Yare from that original series. I mean, with Yare being like the original character being you know being from the light novels, it'll still even with that change, like it's still gonna have the same story beats from the first 12
right.
episodes. Hopefully, going into like the second half, that we'll see some differences from the original anime.
Yeah. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.